Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Control. Let's continue. So we basically got a false ending in the game where Hadron slash Polaris, the spirit spherical Windows visualization that we've been, Windows music media player visualization that we've been seeing and been using to clear access points, or at least it seemed like we were using and seeing those people. Apparently Hadron is gone slash dead maybe, and we saw an ending, and the credits then got corrupted by the hiss, and then we were through a dream sequence inside of our head where we were going through the executive offices, and it was just kind of more straightforward, telling us that Trench felt that it was Hadron that had corrupted everybody wearing the Hadron chest protectors to stop them from being infected by the hiss, and so Trench had already been corrupted by the hiss. He took the side projector to the nostalgia department. Surprise, surprise, the nostalgia department is probably the final boss battle area, and he released the hiss. Meanwhile, Dylan maybe is playing some role in this, maybe not. Maybe he controlled mentally, telepathically Trench and caused him to shoot himself. I guess that's the idea. In general, I don't think they're trying to say that Jesse Faden is Trench, and she's just been reincarnated or something. We got out of our mental trap, and now we're in the Ocean View Motel where we're going to solve a puzzle, and then it's going to take us somewhere. I think it's going to take us to Ordinary, and that would be interesting, but it almost certainly would just be a cutscene, or in which we see what happens in the original game. Well, not in the original game. This is the original game for the series. What happened as a child in the childhood section with Jesse and Dylan, and there are questions certainly about the accuracy, whether Jesse ever really existed or not, or whether there was just Dylan, or maybe Dylan never existed before and there's just Jesse, or maybe one of them, they both existed and one of them were replaced by Polaris slash Hadron. There's a lot of different ways this could be solved, and this could end. I don't suspect that we're going to see a large amount of things.
Really?
One more of these. This is so accurate to why spend money and pay somebody to film this instead of make the game better. I mean, this is funny. It's surprising. It gives you some falling action in there. He apparently called you on the hotline at some point, and there might be a secret in this. Still not 100% sure if I know where.
This is so weird. But it is my head.
Alright.
You are such a weirdo, Jesse.
So I can open that door and go where I want to go. Or can't go back into the janitor's closet. And I can't go into the triangle. So she dreamed up that whole music video. So I don't know if we're going back in time or if we're going back into our own head or what.
Grow brighter.
Jesse Polaris.
One constant. They revolve. Hedron is dead, but you're alive here in me. Maybe Hedron put you in our heads when we met her. Maybe you were always there, and she was just trying to teach me how to trigger you. Maybe I'll never understand.
Be nice.
Maybe I don't need to.
If the video game would explain itself.
Trench was the first to be corrupted by the hiss. Slowly, over the years. His need for control only made it worse. It was Trench who took the projector to the nostalgia department. He opened the door to the hiss.
We just heard all of this.
Just like that.
It's just repeating
With
itself.
Hedron dead, the hiss tried to corrupt me too. But I'm stronger than them. We're stronger. They're waiting. They'll try to stop us.
This is here. Transmission being corrupted. Alright. So yeah,
We're going back.
we might just end the game here, and then it probably will just throw us back into the main area, and we could go and do these side quests if we wanted to, but
To find the projector.
I don't think I'd bother to do
This
that.
ends here.
So this has got to be a relatively easy boss fight. Otherwise, this is going to be a nightmare scenario. Let's not take it for granted that the last boss fight was very, very difficult, and I had to grind a lot to beat it. So if there's any level of difficulty in this, and I can't do it, I may have to exit back to the main menu, select a different
My sister
mission.
had this dream. Bad dream. And the whole world was dreaming with her.
We're gonna listen to Dylan.
She convinced herself that she was awake. She's always been stubborn. I knew I had to end her dream. I had to wake her up. I had to rip down the poster she'd been staring at. Cut off her eyelids to make her see. To save her.
I think we're going down here. We're seeing a lot of hiss red goo. And see, I think, again, it would have been smarter if they had just had like a red goo or vines or something appear in the walls instead of the walls just getting more cubic. This architecture style really just tells me that the old house is shifting, which it barely does in this game, for as much as it's talked about. Where I think the hiss causes the old house to corrupt and shift. Well, we ran out of dialogue about halfway through. It would be funny if it turns out Dylan is right and Jesse is the bad guy and she doesn't even realize it. I don't know if that really opens this up to be a sequel or to have a sequel. Inherently, I think what you have to do is, if you're going to make a sequel to Control, you don't have Jesse or Dylan involved at all, and you just have some new agent in charge of a mission or two.
I know he's still there somewhere. Locked inside. I know, because that's how it was for me.
Small child in-game dictates special transmission allocation. Director prepare for power beast. Redirected feed. I'm not sure that I can't just make it here. I may die though too. Alright, well I managed to die in a place I clearly was not supposed to be able to die in. They clearly wanted me to take it a little bit slower than that. And not just try and fly all the way to the end. I guess they felt the need to have some sort of gameplay here instead of just a simplistic wrap-up. I can't even see the guys. It's red on red on red. So... again, the graphics... probably too much ray tracing being programmed into this and not enough just reasonable color palette selections. If I make it here and clear this whole area out, there's a question, I suppose, as to that, like, will this checkpoint if I defeat everybody here, or is there a way to defeat anybody, or yeah, I got a major health boost there when I ran over that health pile. I don't know if that is just because there was a lot of health, or if they're helping me so I don't die miserably. Alright, so are we safe now? Did we get our checkpoint? This feels like we're maybe doing a little bit of hide and dodge here. A little bit more corner and grabbing. Let's go over here and hope that's good enough. even having a lot of energy to throw and to launch a lot is still not enough. Although, in all fairness, a lot of games that have grenades, there's plenty of times in games like that I've wanted the ability to have 10 or 12 grenades when they limit you down to 3. I guess that's not as big of an issue in most games as it is here, because here you are kind of constantly in a difficult position where launch is barely the only weapon that's even useful. I'm not even really using the gun. So I guess a question to ask would be, what would this experience be like if I was only capable of throwing things instead of being able to shoot things? Would this be more of a Portal-esque puzzle game? At that point, platforming puzzler. And would it work better if it was like that? Yeah, by the time this whole fight is done, I'm going to be in a good position there. Seriously. I'm gonna have enough stuff to upgrade one of my guns at the very least. Alright, did that help me even a little bit? Alright, here's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to come over to this edge and see if I make it to this edge. No, this won't load that next section. If it would just load the next section even. Okay. Don't let it go all the way out. Yeah, they just rise up when you get close enough to them and then hit you and kill you. So you can't cheat your way through this. So it is going to be defeat everybody on platform 1, defeat everybody on platform 2, defeat everybody on platform 3. And in this case, just fall to your death because I moved too fast. Seems like we're back in that annoying cycle where you can't possibly survive. Well, also in the we're gonna have to evaluate the game and pretty much say that the entirety of the game is best played with spin and only spin. Everything else is kind of frivolous abilities or classes of guns. I think I did lose all of these points, by the way. Because we're down to 31 and we were up to 40,000 before. Come on, where are you? Throwing a grenade back at him works. We're getting like really good material pickups, sure, but it's still not worth the effort we're doing. Wave after wave of this. Like, it's not worth your time to go through this inventory and say, oh yeah, this ammo while levitating 35% is better than what is this damage increase? Right, well, there's no reason to take damage when you fall. That'd be ridiculous. So, feels like you absorb more health than you really would need, but I don't know what the blue lines really indicate as far as an actual number of health. Not doing good. Is that everybody? Gotta be real careful with those suicide bombers. Almost certainly they're gonna throw a third tier of enemies at me. Actually, I know they're gonna throw a third tier of enemies at me. Kill me. I don't know how I survived that, but somehow I did. Don't kill me. I'm getting quiet here. I'm trying really hard to not die. Trying really hard not to die. But The problem is one of this screeching creature here, like having a hard time figuring out where those are and what they are, and see, like running into a problem like that can be a nightmare. Are there any more? Where are they? Anybody else? Where is it? Come on, let me dash through here. We got one of those really strong guys. That was like 2,000 of the crafting material. Music is still playing. Where are they? Music's still playing. More screeching. Where are they? Just running back and forth. This is a difficult end section. It's not an intriguing or unique end section. It's really just more of the same in a lot of ways. A large amount of hiss enemies, all which do way more damage than they should, and cause a lot of frustration when I die. Like, at any point here, I could still totally screw this up. There's still a major chance that I'd die and we'd have to start all over again. And I don't want to go down there. I think I might see the last guy. Music stopped. Does that mean we've got a checkpoint? Probably not. So I still want to be exceedingly cautious. And I probably don't want to spend too much time staying on this platform, just in case the game decides to get frustrated with me and say, no, keep going. Right. I don't need to take any fall damage, so I need to be real careful on this. It looks like maybe we're just gonna walk up to Dylan and then cleanse him. That would be okay with me. I'm not 100% sure if I can stand on these other platforms or if something else is going to happen. Dangerous. So
You are home. You remind us of home. You've taken your boss. Your boss. You.
So we see Polaris again. Not sure if that's our ability or if that's an actual entity.
Dylan's in a coma. I don't know if there's anything of him left in there. If he'll ever find his way back. The portal's been closed, but the hiss is still in the oldest house. And the lockdown can't be lifted as long as any trace of it remains. I'm working on a solution with my management team, but there is still a long road ahead.
So the sequel to this game would just be
I'm the director
in the
of
same
the Federal Bureau
building,
of Control.
fighting the
We're
same
in
enemy.
this together. You and I.
Is this the real ending now? With different audio? I think this is a different song with different credits. Not a great ending by far. Definitely leaving it open for a sequel, while this game also is designed to be sort of infinitely replayable if you liked what you were experiencing. I don't know why you would be liking what you're experiencing. The difficulty for me personally was horrible. The lack of checkpoints were horrible. On my 2080 RTX graphics card, graphics looked alright, but not great. I feel like they spent a lot of time implementing ray tracing when they could have done better with just some generic art palette swaps and a better artist in general. Different styles of buildings would have been very much appreciated in different sections. There's really no reason why you wouldn't open the door and in the oldest house end up in a completely different looking place. So it could have been you ended up in a forest that is inside of the building. So there's still walls, so you can still limit the flying around, but there's trees all over the place. Or you open the door and you're on a beach, or you open the door and you're inside of more of the ashtray maze, or more of the hotel, or you're just on a desert, or you're in Ordinary. It would have been a lot more impactful if we'd shown up in Ordinary at least a little bit. There's tons of missions we skipped. I don't think I'm being particularly... I've been particularly secretive about my frustration with this game. The story, the concept is good, but that's about it. They had a good concept, which was, let's do Friday the 13th, the TV series, in a video game setting, and let's throw in a lot of X-Files, and let's throw in some of the other things that Remedy has already done, like Alan Wake and Quantum Break, I believe, was the game they made latest. But also, some of the stuff they stole, or seems like they stole from the Beyond Two Souls game, or stuff that was just stolen in general from your average horror game. That's really what this should have been, is a horror game, and it really isn't. I think the Evil Within, which wasn't even particularly my favorite game, Evil Within 1, I feel like Evil Within 2 I haven't covered that game yet, but I think they fixed a lot of problems with the first game. You'd have to fix a ton of problems with this game to make it work to have a Control 2, because you've got to have the oldest house look completely different. Nobody wants to run through those levels. You need a complete rethink on how big you make each individual area in the levels and have maybe just some you're gonna have to learn the lessons of having things that are effectively long hallways not feel like long hallways, but you're also gonna have to have enemies spawning in every area, otherwise it feels like the areas are underused. There was many places we walked into where it felt underused. That, coupled with the frustration of fights, there were several times in which I would get into an area where it would randomly spawn enemies and I just wouldn't want to fight them. This game feels so much like it was taking hints and cues from things like World of Warcraft or Destiny, when there's no way this game would have worked like Destiny. It doesn't need any of the mods. That's garbage. That clearly was in there because they were thinking about putting microtransactions in the game. Thank goodness they didn't go that route, but that's really small praise compared to all the other complaints I have against this game. It's just a mess. It's a really messy game with major parts that I've skipped, and effectively I feel like I'm rage quitting the game even though I beat the game, because I don't want to go through any of the other side missions that probably have more interesting content than some of the main missions, and I don't definitely want to try and grind to find all the collectibles. I definitely don't want to try to grind to get level 5 mods on everything. There's some real weirdness about the fact that there are hidden areas in this game, and I found exactly one. There's real weirdness that there's apparently different outfits in this game, and yet I found like 3. That's odd, to say the least. Of course, again, why have different outfits unless you're trying to do something like Destiny, where you could show off your outfits, and that really doesn't work. The story really starts on a bad step by making Jesse Faden the director. She has no hero arc here, as far as I'm concerned. She should have walked in as a nobody and then been hired on the spot or deputized by Marshall, and then as she's going through a level they would promote her, and eventually she would get promoted to the director. There was no reason for her to be called the director or act as the director at any point before the end of the game. She could have just been, hey, I'm Jesse Faden, I'm new here, I'm here to help, and everybody would say, fine, we need to help, go do this, go do that. She doesn't need to be the most powerful, most important person in the building at the very beginning of the game. The janitor's story, like, it's a red herring. There's nothing there. He clearly is this mystical, magical person connected to the board. The board is a red herring. It goes nowhere. The objects of power really are red herrings. They go nowhere. The altered world events, red herrings, don't go anywhere. The altered items, red herrings, don't go anywhere. There's kind of nothing here. You are the director of the Federal Bureau of Control. The crisis is not over. Your work is not done. So now we have that outfit that you see in the posters from the beginning of the game. Executive Board countermeasures and Bureau alerts to fight the ongoing Hiss threat. Search out dangerous depths of the oldest house for classified Bureau secrets and hidden clues.
Shawshank Redemption. That's the name of the movie I was thinking of earlier.
I'm surprised they
Not
named
important,
it.
But that was it.
Shawshank Redemption. She mentioned that movie a long time ago, hours and hours ago, where there was a poster, and behind the poster there was a tunnel they were digging. Of course, now the director, Jesse Faden's suit is her old appearance, not her new appearance. So is there one of these in any of these rooms? Let's see, one of these offices, fairly certain, does have, yeah, this is the regular one. And we have a bit of lag there. And kind of nothing. And yeah, this game is just not gonna go anywhere ever. It will constantly give you more challenges, I'm sure, so you can play it forever. Let's see. Central Executive is here. So we could... I imagine this is just slightly before.
Head of research. What? The director's just handing out promotions? I guess you better get in.
So she's got a hairpiece behind her that's a triangle. We got nothing on the board, by the way. Oh, geez, that would have been a shortcut worth taking. More copyrighted music.
You heard the director stop the hiss, right? Sounds like she can really handle things.
Yeah.
Finally, someone had the balls to take the fight to them.
I'll be here waiting for you when you wake up, brother.
Alright, so Dylan's
If you wake up.
there. I imagine you won't be able to go to the nostalgia department even if you wanted to try.
The director's going down.
There haven't been any hiss sightings in the Ocean View Motel. Could survivors be hiding inside?
It's possible. I remember a report about a similar incident from '84. The Bureau lost contact with a whole department during a house shift. The department head was found in the motel 2 years later. His arm stuck in the vending machine.
Make a note to send in a search party when possible.
So we could talk to her and she might give us some after game quests, but I'm not gonna
Jesse,
do them.
good to see you. We've got Dylan situated in his containment cell like you asked. I've got medical staff running tests as we speak, and I'd be happy to walk you through the details later. Other than that, what's next?
With the slide projector turned off, the hiss are shut out, but we're stuck with the ones already here. We can't lift the lockdown until they're all eradicated. If any hiss ever got out, that would be the end of everything.
Well, eliminating them all will take time. Look, I'll do what I can on my end, but my research is progressing slower than I'd like.
We never even saw that the
I
hiss
think I can
had
help
the
with that.
ability to
I am making
affect.
you the head of research, effective immediately. I want you to use everything the Bureau
Yeah,
has.
we
every
haven't seen that the
resource,
hiss could
every
even
confidential scrap
infect
of data,
other people.
and find a way to keep the hiss out for good.
That's... Really? I mean, yes, I can certainly... Yes. Yes, I accept.
I suppose if you
do
liked
great.
Pope, this would be a nice little
Besides,
addendum.
I didn't really have anyone else lined up.
I'm honored, Jesse, really.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
like her that much, though. So she's the new head of research because Darling disappeared. Although we don't really know what happened to Darling.
Hey, I found a file on the old director, Northmore. Didn't list any date of death. You know anything about that?
Trench
Could be an error. The record staff process a lot of data. Maybe it just
Northmore might still be alive. So the director before Trench, I would guess. Alright,
There's no way this happened.
so let's look here. We got 5 abilities, which best thing to do with that would be this, and see what this would have done. Seize an additional enemy for 3, or I could have upgraded this. Launch large objects. So maybe launching large objects would have caused more damage? I don't know. So the only other thing in question is if we got Seas 4 and then Seas 5, we could see what that did. And this probably, if I was to guess, would seize an additional enemy again. So maybe that would have been helpful, but maybe not. Meanwhile, there's a lot of submissions we would have had to do. We got one board incursion thing done. And we could just keep on trying to do some of these things. Clearly, since these are giving out level 4 items, and we know that there are as little, there are level 5 items, there probably is a decent amount of things out there that we haven't done. This was the asynchronous suit, which actually looks nice. And we got the office assistant suit. I think the asynchronous suit is the best looking one of them all. And then astral constructs. Upgrade charge. We can do that. But we would still have to grind out to then upgrade shatter to level 3 or upgrade charge to level 3. And we would need to grind to upgrade this to level 5. It would have been interesting to get this to level 5, because then the question would be, is there actually level 6 items? I doubt it. It's questionable to say the least. Let's see, mods here. I'm not going to even bother with them to look at them. We collected a few things, but nothing amazing looking. We've got all kinds of collectibles that I guess we should look at right now. So much text. Yeah, let's not forget that. A huge amount of wasted time making all this content. If this was a comic book and that's what they were doing, and then in the comic book every once in a while you'd see one of these papers, and that would be a bit of information getting expelled, that would make sense. I could see making Control a pretty great graphic novel, long-running type thing. But for an actual video game, resources are just totally in the wrong places. And that's why you have generic enemies. That's why you have a terrible gameplay system. It's why there's no flashlight when there really needs to be a flashlight. It's why there's no brightness balancing going on in this game. So you go from incredibly bright areas to incredibly dark areas. There's a lack of concern and interest in making the video game first, and instead it's an interest in paying a specific group of your probably friends or people that you're cronies with, at to say the least, to make these live action videos and use that. And we know that about Remedy. We've seen that with Remedy in at least the last couple of games they've made, that they really, really want to make a TV series. They really want to get into TV. I've also seen this similar attitude with comic book people, where they really, really want to get into making movies, or they really want to get into having a TV series. It doesn't work very well at all. There's plenty of that happens also in TV and movies. People that want to only make movies, but then they would do better making TV series. People that only want to make TV series but would do better making movies. It's a lack of artistic understanding of knowing your form, for lack of a better term. I don't mind any of these audio sections. I do mind some of the video threshold kid stuff. That was horrible waste of time. If for every single one of these correspondences and case files and research and records, you had instead just paid 5 to 20 entry level, like standard voice actors, the SAG standard pay, to read out lines of dialogue and say it out loud as if it was being recorded to a tape recording, that would have been so much better. That would have been like Bioshock 1, where there was tons and tons of audio and backstory told through that. They're calling this final thing endless grind, which is exactly what this is, so that they're not even hiding the fact that it's endless grinding. I wanted to look at the missions. So we're going to constantly get these missions, and eventually you would get down to the point where these are the only missions you can do. We have What a Mess, Clear the Clog, Old Growth. We never really made it anywhere in that area with the mold. It's crazy to say that we're going to just ignore that whole section. All of the fallen comrades and maintenance, talk to the plants, let's see, killing Mr. Tomasi. It's not worth it. And the only thing that would even be slightly interesting in doing would be doing Langston's Runaways again, because those are not just going to involve fighting a bunch of people, where everything else is either fight a bunch of people or investigate areas and search for things, which would just be frustrating. But we can look at the building here and see that there's an area in maintenance in the lower right hand corner that we missed, clearly. But that's kind of it. There's probably little secret things all over the place in each of the 4 levels, which, if you were going to make a building, it really should have been a building that had like 20 levels. There's an area in the far left that we missed in research also, but not really too much others. Yeah, I don't think we have any question mark areas at all. And we kind of know what's in Sterling AWE. That's where Tomasi is, and we could kind of try and go and find him, but it's not worth it. The last thing I want to check here before we wrap up is I just want to see what the nostalgic department looks like over here. I do not believe for a second that you could actually clean and cleanse a floor. Nope, you can't go there. Oh wait, yeah you can. Over here. So here it is. Here's the nostalgia department for you. That's all it is. Still, at this point, having struggles to taking a decent amount of hits. I'm about to die. I'm seriously past the end of the game. I'm about to die still. I'm not really doing any extra damage. The ability to toss items, not super useful. And I'm sure they thought this was going to be cool. I'm sure they thought people were going to be in this cafeteria area multiple times, killing the same enemies and not realizing that they were killing the same enemies and getting bored amazingly fast. But that's really a flaw in Remedy's grasp on reality. They had to get feedback on this to say, look, this is repetitive. This looks visually repetitive. The gameplay is incredibly repetitive. I wouldn't be surprised if the way this game was released in its final version was rather different from what it was even a couple of months ago.
Lots of work for a medikit.
I guess I could try to find Marshall. I have no idea where she is, and see if I could talk to her. I think pretty much everybody is somewhere around here. Maybe not.
So the director, whose brother is Hiss, just happens to find the secret Hiss entrance in places.
When do you think Marshall's coming back? It's not likely to be absent during a crisis.
Marshall's as tough as they come.
Yeah, Marshall's missing apparently.
I hope you're right.
We didn't really learn about Darling.
Director Faden did a fine job handling this, especially considering.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say.
When is she gonna get them out?
This game is a main example. It's such an example of E3ing itself, which I am now using as a canonical term going forward. When a game developer puts out a, yeah, there was nothing about these paintings, by the way. They apparently mean nothing at all, as far as I can tell. When somebody puts out a hype video with floating people, flying people, and chattering people, and then cannot deliver because they overpromised, and the flying is a major reason why this game suffers. If you didn't have flying and instead maybe just had double or triple jumps, then that could have changed the architecture. Get away from this brutalist architecture. It looks fine for one floor. It's fine at one floor's length. But the fact that you see it in most of the floors, and the floors that don't have this architecture kind of have nothing interesting going on. It's just a generic maintenance area or a generic area infected by mold. It's a problem. It's a problem. This whole game is just a pile of problems on top of each other. Let's quit to the menu before we finish up, and then that's going to be it for this series. Let's see what the mission select breaks down to. So, the first mission is not unknown caller, I don't believe. But the first mission really doesn't do anything other than have you walk through the front door. So you can never get back in that sequence without starting the game over. But then the second main mission is unknown caller, and I imagine all of these are the main story quests. So if you wanted to switch back to that, you can. Otherwise, there's kind of nothing here. There's no way to unlock any like sketch art or concept art or anything like that. No 3D model viewer. None of the things you typically would see in a game like this. So it's kind of generic, kind of simplistic, kind of rough in a lot of places, and way overhyped. And it's very strange to say that, because I had heard many other mainstream video game critics say the same thing, that it's just kind of meh. It's a meh game. When, from the visuals and from the way it was being advertised and the way it was getting hyped, this looked like this was going to be even better than Evil Within. It looked like it was going to be even better than maybe even Resident Evil 7 if they had gone in a different direction. Although, ironically, having played the game, they would have been better if this was just zombies running around. That would have been easier to explain and required a lot less bad writing, which is all they supplemented this with. Or, they could have gone the demonic route and just said, oh, these are cursed items. That the full Friday the 13th, the TV series concept. All those items could have been evil and demonic and had something devilish around them. That would work too. They kind of badly needed a character like Rod Sterling, or Sterling? I think it's Sterling, from the Twilight Zone. For two reasons. They needed him because he really, really pushed hard to have good writing in his TV show. So this game, had they had a character like him controlling the writing in this game, it would have been a lot better. But also, canonically in the story, if there was just the old director Trench talking a lot more like Rod Sterling, describing objects, that would have been interesting. Unfortunately, what we get instead is Trench mostly doesn't say anything, and when he does say something via the hotline, it's mostly just gibberish or short, trite messages that are pretty easy to understand. Or you get Darling, who does just a bunch of weird things and doesn't really tell you much information at all. The build-up with Hadron / Polaris not being there / being dead goes nowhere. Man, this whole game just goes nowhere. It's like a 15-hour game. It feels like it's been 15 hours, if not 20, of grinding and fighting the same enemies over and over again, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again at this point. Yeah, it's been a disappointment. Frankly, the only reason I even played this game is because I got it free with the 2080 RTX, which seems to work fine, and I will say that in this last run I've been having the NVIDIA PhysX run on the 2080 instead of my old video card, which was a 970 GTX. I think that's the right way to do it if you're ever dealing with two video card setups. Also, though, I've had two monitors enabled, so I probably would have had slightly better performance if I had only one monitor enabled. Plus, when playing a first-person shooter game that's a AAA game, having a second monitor is just super distracting. The ability to see motion and action in a second monitor just next to your first one in a couple places caught my attention, distracted me. But yeah, the only reason I covered this is because I got the 2080 GTX video card and it came free with that. This is an Epic Store exclusive. By the time, I think, and I was saying this even early into the gameplay, I think by the time now that Control comes to Steam or some storefront that isn't the Epic Store on PC, the word of mouth will either be it's a meh game or actual frustration, which there's plenty to rant about the frustration of this game, and that does not include people who tried to play this on the PlayStation 4 and had way worse performance than what I had. I had bad performance, and my specs aren't the newest computer ever, but I have like a 6-core Intel video card, does like 3.3 gigahertz, I think. So it's not weak. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's not a weak computer. It's never had any other problems before. And yet Control does not look good, and it does not run good. And for the ray tracing is totally not worth it. I hope to see some other game implement ray tracing way better, but I suspect we won't see many games implement ray tracing well for at least 2 to 4 years. when they have the full development time to implement that. Yeah, is there anything else to say that I haven't said a million times over? It's just a disappointment. I also got Wolfenstein Youngbloods. At some point, I'll play that. I probably will try and stream that as quickly as possible, since both of these are relatively brand new games, and that might potentially get me new people to see my videos and subscribe to my channel. So I'll try and see what I'm going to do with that, but I think I might take a little bit of a break too. It's been a very hard endeavor to live stream recording the episodes, which is what I've been doing, and have that come out as quickly as possible. Anyways, that's enough stretching. That I almost certainly am never going to play Control again. If they release DLC, I would have no interest in the DLC. If they released a sequel and it did not include the Hiss or Jesse Faden, but just a universe that was kind of like an FBI X-Files type game, I don't think I even trust Remedy to do it well enough. Remedy has been on this path of not making satisfactory games for a while, and this is just another example of that, where I don't think they're focused. I don't think they have the skill to make a good game first and then try to do something special second. They seem like they're trying to do something special first and make something that's more like a TV series, which if they just want to make a YouTube TV series, they could do that at any point. If Remedy just wants to shut down as a video game company and turn themselves into a YouTube channel that just makes like sci-fi stories, there's a YouTube channel called Dusk that does that. You can do that, sure. But as long as you call yourself a video game company, as long as you're making video games, you have to make good games first. Anyways, that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because it helps me with my YouTube channel, tells them that my videos are worth watching. If you want to watch some of the other games I've covered, I have a playlist for every game I've ever covered, so you can go check out some things. Go check out The Evil Within and see if it's a fair comparison about how The Evil Within jumped around the different areas and was way more dreamlike, although in fairness The Evil Within is set inside the mind of a psychopath. But they should have learned from that. The Evil Within's been out for a while. They could have taken those concepts and done something similar, better than what they did. There's probably some other games. I think Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite all compare to Control very easily as way better versions of the same thing. So Control really is a pale comparison to what is a growing list of first-person or third-person shooters where you have special abilities, telekinesis, and the like. And they really had some big shoes to fill, and they didn't do it. Otherwise, if you want to friend or follow me on social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. That's a good way to get backup notifications when YouTube inevitably doesn't give you notifications when I have a new video. And if you want to support me, which would be greatly appreciated, there's a link to my Patreon, and you could just friend me for a one-time gift on Steam, and you can gift me either a gift card or gift me a game off my wishlist, or just give me a game you'd like to see me cover. Anything that reduces the amount of money I spend on games is a easy way to ensure, or at least increase the likelihood that I'll continue to cover games on my channel. And I have a lot of coverage on my channel. We're approaching 8,000 videos at this point. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good evening.